Alright, what's up everybody? It's CS Nazo and welcome back to more Great Ace Attorney. I'm on time this time around! Yay! Alright. Last time, we found ourselves basically defending someone before knowing anything about the incident at hand. And it ended with apparently a little girl throwing down a smoke bomb and escaping the courthouse. 18th February, 12:52 p.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. I do not know any of the voices I gave anyone. What on earth just happened in there? Mr. Naruhodo, I've managed to find out what happened. Mr. Sato, I was told it was an advanced form of smoke grenade, a type of exploding device that releases smoke. A smoke grenade? It sounds like the sort of thing ninjas use. They're just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long. But who would have done something like that? The police managed to catch someone who was trying to flee the courtroom, apparently. Flee the courtroom? Why? Well, it's a young girl of around 15, I hear. A young girl? Then could it be the other passenger that McGilded was just talking about? My thoughts exactly. So he wasn't lying. Oh! What's become of Mr. McGilded, actually? There are so many things I need to ask him about, but he's not here. I think he was summoned to the prosecutor's antechamber to answer questions, along with the young girl. Who is she, I wonder? And what was she doing here at the trial? She was taking a huge risk, and for what possible benefit to herself? There's another matter that's troubling me. What's that? The 20 pence. Oh, according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 4 passengers that night at a fare of 5 pence each. Yeah, meaning there should be another 5 pence, and that's missing, come to think of it. That comes to a total of 20 pence exactly. But now it seems there were in fact 5 passengers, which means the figures don't seem to add up again. Unless it was 4 pence, and again, the witnesses are just hiding her existence for some reason. She's right. That is strange. Counsel for the defense, kindly proceed to the into the courtroom. The trial will recommence in 5 minutes. Oh, thank you, officer. We'll go in straight away. Well, whoever she is, I imagine this young girl will be asked to take the stand and testify now. I really can't imagine what she's going to say, but it could alter the whole direction of the trial. We'll know soon enough, Mr. Sato. Yes. Young girl of 15. By chance, could it be the same young girl of 15 that we had to deal with in the last chapter? She's blonde, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the same girl. There's the young girl next to Mr. McGilded. Look. She must have been the one who caused the disturbance before. Well, after that rather eventful recess, the court will now resume the trial of Mr. Magnus McGilded. Now then, Lord Van Zeeks. My lord. I believe you have established the cause of the smoke which veiled proceedings earlier. It seems to have been an advanced form of smoke grenade, of the sort typically employed by the army. Good gracious, the army? What in the devil's name? It was an elaborate attempt by a young girl to cloak her escape from the public gallery, but she was caught, and now occupies the stand. Your name, girl? Are you responsible for the smoke grenade which induced such pandemonium in my courtroom? What is the meaning of this deplorable behavior? Ahem, if I may, my lord. Yes, Mr. McGilded? I think perhaps I ought to explain here why it is that this wee lass was here in the first place, and why she tried to bolt like that. 'Tis all tied up with the events of that night, so it is. 1 second. Sorry, it's never pleasant when I have to do that. Very well, Mr. McGilded, give your testimony. You will explain to the court exactly how this young woman is involved in the case. Just what did happen that night? It's not like a defense lawyer needs that information or anything. The young girl. On the night in question, I took the back seat in the omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then, begorra, a loud thud and a wee scream woke me up with a fair start. There was a fella collapsed on the floor at me feet, so I sat him up on the seat across from me. Then I turned to find out where that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away. I remain somewhat baffled, I confess, but from what I gather on the night in question, this young girl was indeed riding in the omnibus, is that correct? 'Tis exactly as the defense counsel said. This lass was the 5th passenger, my lord. Very well. The defense may now cross-examine the witnesses. Are you ready, counsel? Yes, my lord. Or rather, no. I have no idea where to start. Just press everything, I guess. What do these buttons on the side... Oh, I got a new controller a while ago, and I don't know what these buttons on the handles do. On the night in question, I'm not even going to bother doing the voice. And when you first got onto the bus, were there any other passengers already on board? There were not. The cabin was empty, and there was no one on the roof deck either. You were the first passenger, as it were. I see. Aye, and that's why I took the back side, I did. 'Tis most comfortable, so it is. Could you explain exactly what you mean by the back seat? By all means, 'tis how you already described it earlier. I'm talking about the seat opposite the one in which the poor gentleman who was stabbed was sitting. Sitting? Like I said, 'tis the most comfortable and where I feel most at ease. And of course, I enjoy gazing through the skylight from time to time as well. Then, begorra, a loud thud and a wee scream woke me up with a start. A loud thud, you say, and a scream? Aye, that's right. How can I explain it? 'Twas like a sound of someone falling to the ground, that sort of noise. So you think it was the sound of Mr. Mason falling to the floor, having been stabbed? Well now, you'll remember I was asleep at the time, so I wouldn't like to say. And when the sound woke me and I opened my eyes, there wasn't a soul to be seen in the carriage but the fellow on the floor. You didn't see anyone. But at the same time, you did hear a scream? Ah, from the seats above you on the roof deck, I presume. Not about me, no, my lord. 'Twas from inside the cabin. But I wasn't altogether thinking about the scream. No, I was too stunned by the desperate sight before my eyes. There was a fella collapsed on the floor at my feet, so I sat him up on the seat across from me. You sat him up? The victim, you mean? That I did, on the seat across from me, as I said. I could plainly see the poor devil was already gone. Across from you? Hold on. Okay, so he must have been sitting here, meaning that he sat him up here, right? I'm very confused. And you wouldn't leave a dead man just lying on the floor now, would you? 'Tis common courtesy, so it is. I find that a little hard to believe. When he shouts objection or something like that, I'll get a better read on his voice and try mimicking that. Ah, Lord Van Zieks! Now why would that be? You wake to find the man laying dead at your feet in a carriage. Any normal person would hail the cabman. Any upstanding member of London society, that is. Well now, as you know, I'm in something of a special line of business. The business of lending money at exorbitant rates of interest? Unfortunately, my lord, not everyone is thankful for the help I offer them, and some would even see me dead. So I do try, where at all possible, to avoid getting myself in a tangle with trouble. Are you suggesting you were just going to leave the man there? Heavens alive, no! I was always intending to report it, so I was. Only, I had a mind to find out the whys and wherefores first. The whys and wherefores? Right you are. There are some details I wanted to understand before anyone got to meddling. That wee scream I heard, for example. Wouldn't your good self do just the same? Yes. The scream he says he heard at the same time, as the thud of the victim collapsing. Then I turned to find out where that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? I'm afraid I don't understand. I'm sure you told the court that there was no one else in the carriage except yourself and the victim. So I did, sir, so I did. As far as I could see, that is... What do you mean by that? Well now, 'tis a queer thing. The wee scream I heard, as I woke up. It came from, if you'll excuse the vulgar expression, under me backside! Let me check this again. Hold on. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of blood on the floor here. I don't think I examined this. That's blood, isn't it? Is something wrong? Oh, it's just, well, this blood stain is so obvious, that's all. And yet, Van Zieks has made no mention of it. I suppose that does seem a little strange. Why do I have such a bad feeling about this? Now, he said it came from under his seat, and he did say it came up from underneath. Okay, I was looking to have it opened. Well, now it's empty. I could have sworn there was stuff in there before. Yeah, I could have sworn there was stuff in here a little bit ago. It's been a week, so maybe I'm wrong, but I could have sworn there was stuff in there. Also, she is kind of small. Maybe she could hide in there. Under your backside? And when I lifted the seat on which I'd been sitting, I found there was a wee cubby hole there for storage. Mr. Naruhodo, we can examine the omnibus ourselves, remember? Yeah, we just did. The whole bus was submitted as evidence. This would be a very good time to have a thorough look around inside. And that's when I found her. There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to press that, hit the wrong button. Being the defense lawyer, and yet finding myself as stunned as everyone else at his testimony. Let's just say it's trying. He certainly had precious little time to talk to Mr. McGilded before the trial. But we mustn't be dispirited. We must try to learn all the facts we can. When we arrived in London this morning, I didn't see my day panning out like this. Mr. Naruhodo, no grumbling, even in your head. How did you know? Yeah. You say she was hiding herself? Aye, that's right. 'Twas hard to see the dim lamplight, but she was all curled up in a wee ball when our eyes met. Well, my heart nearly stopped beating in me chest. You're really overreacting this. Still and all, I pulled her out from under there, and sat her on the seat opposite, so I could have a wee chinwag with her. The seat opposite? That's right, just next to the dead gentleman there. You sat this young girl next to a corpse, sir? Well, as I'm sure I mentioned, a gentleman in my position can all too often find himself in mortal danger. So, I needed to find out just who this urchin was, you see. And while I was in the middle of talking with her, I heard another scream. A fella's voice this time. Presumably that scream was Mr. First, who was sitting on the roof deck seat. Right you are again, I would say, sir. Looking down through the skylight, he must have seen this young girl and the gentleman with a knife in his belly. In other words, the previous witnesses did not in fact see you at all, Mr. McGilded. What they believed to be yourself and the victim was in fact this girl and the late Mr. Mason? Aye, my lord. As I think everyone understands now, sat at the back of the carriage out of sight. It is certainly plausible. The defendant is somewhat diminutive in stature, and readily confused, perhaps, with this young girl. After that, of course, with the scream from the gentleman over us, the driver realized something was wrong and pulled up the horses. Thank you, I've heard enough. The events, as explained, are clear in my mind. However, at least one conundrum remains. Who is this girl? Her name is Gianna Lestrade, my lord. She's a chancer, earns her crust among large crowds, relieving people of their purses. What's commonly called a pickpocket. What? This girl here? A petty thief? Order! Order! Is this true, Miss Lestrade? I don't know why I pronounce it that way. It could be completely wrong. Miss Lestrade, you will answer the question. Oh, she has a gun. Yeah, that's about right. How dare you? What is the meaning of this? And she ran. Ah! The girl! She's gone! Open your eyes. I'm over here. Good gracious, how? What was the point in that little sidestep? I know what you lot are thinking. Grown-ups are all the same. This dirty little dipper, you'll say, slipped up and got caught on the job. It's a mix between his voice and some kind of different kind of British accent. She got herself back to the corner and she knifed the gent. Except she was underneath the seat with someone else sitting on top of it. She couldn't have gotten out of it. Go on, that's what's in your heads, ain't it? I have no idea what voice I'm giving her, and I don't know why it's so masculine. No, not at all. This is a court of law. We're here to determine the truth, not cast... guys are for cowards. Only thugs use weapons like that. All I need for what is I do with these fingers. I'm a professional, alright? Maybe not in your eyes, but I got pride in what I do. She says as she shoots people with a gun. Let me guess. You don't count smoke guns among your weapons for thugs? Oh, this? Yeah, this was in a bag I lifted the other day. Down where they keep the four-wheel drags. Nice. It's nice, isn't it? I like the pink best. Ugh! Do not wave that thing in my direction again! I genuinely do not know what voice to give this girl. So, you admit that you were riding the omnibus on the night in question, and now his voice is just a deeper version of the defendant's voice. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with these voices anymore. Tis alright, lass. You can tell them the truth now. Alright, yeah. It's just like the Irishman said. The court accepts this girl, Miss Gina Lestrade, as a valid and significant witness in this case. Accordingly, young lady, we will now hear your testimony, if you please. You will tell the court exactly what happened in the omnibus on that night in question. Alright, if I have to. She has a British accent, not an Irish accent. Why am I giving her an Irish accent? So I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked up the horses, just like always. Scottish, that's what I need to do. Scottish. Let me just stop for a little bit, try to get a Scottish accent going. I'm not sure if this is Scottish, but it's the best I got. But it was alright, old waste of time, and now I need to make it more feminine. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. I'll tell you, I can't be a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Then after a while, I hear this loud bang, bang! Nearly jumped out of me skin, I did, and the scream just came out. It's because of that this swell found me. He dipped out me get away, mind. Yes, he let you go. I fail to understand why you would let this street urchin go, Mr. McGilded. Oh, it is simplicity itself, my lord. You see, she couldn't possibly have killed the other passenger. I knew that for a fact. How? As I'm sure I said it before, sir. I was sitting right on top of the place where she was hiding herself. I think a demonstration is called for. This is where I sat that night. And the cubby hole of which you have spoken is underneath the seat, I presume. Oh, and the cubby hole is always. Yes. It does appear just large enough to accommodate someone of the girl's stature. Aye, but of course, the wee lass was stuck in there. Because I parked myself on the seat for the duration. Oh! So you see, that's why I let the lass bolt. I knew that if the police found her there, they'd automatically assume she'd done it. But I couldn't live with myself with, if a young life was ruined when all the time I knew she was innocent. Even though you must have realized your action would result in your own innocence being called into question? Not at all, my lord, not at all. I knew in my own heart that I was innocent. So I thought it was worth taking a punt on my own good name for the sake of this less fortunate lass. My goodness! What a perfect gentleman. My lord! This fine example of a man cannot possibly be guilty of a heinous crime like this. I'm ashamed of myself for ever doubting you, sir. There's only one person we have yet to convince this person is innocent, and that's her. With calm and calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Well, all 6 jurors are now in agreement that he's innocent. Though we haven't figured out who's done it yet, which is weird for Ace Attorney, meaning this has to continue. All 6 members of the jury council consensual in their leading to a verdict of not guilty? Mr. Naruhodo, it must mean... It must mean what? That we're victorious! No. We've won? Are you sure? Okay, I'm gonna try it. What the fuck? If the sight of my iron-heeled Wellington offends prey, do forgive the discourtesy. Someone just texted me. Sorry about that. This really is a consummate example of the one monumental flaw in the British judicial practices, where evidence and reasoning should be paramount. Emotion rules the day. Emotion? The witness's latest statement gives us a clear insight into his true nature. What do you mean his true nature? Do you really think Scotland Yard would have made such a glaring omission? After the incident, the omnibus was comprehensively searched by officers of the police. Obviously, the interior of this cubbyhole, as the witness put it, was included in their investigation. Yeah, there is something missing from that compartment. The compartment under the posterior seat was full of the coachman's belongings. It's noted in black and white here in the police report. Good Lord! The evidence has been tampered with. In order to corroborate Mr. McGillicuddy's story, someone has unlawfully removed everything from under the seat, and it was probably her. What?! Order! Order! How could such a devious contrivance possibly have been effected, counsel? Naturally, we must acknowledge the deficiencies of the constabulary in allowing this to have happened. Ow, I accidentally hurt my foot. However, I assure you, when the omnibus was wheeled into the courtroom this morning, the compartment under the seat was not empty. That is true, I saw that. Well, my Nipponese friend? Me? When the carriage was submitted as evidence, doubtless you examined it in fine detail as any self-respecting practitioner of the law. Pray, what did you find the condition of the underseat compartment to be? Oh, to be sure, the young gentleman will be able to clear this up in a jiffy. Sorry? Go ahead, you tell the court now, fella. How this is all an elaborate excuse by the desperate Lord Van Zeeks. No, he's telling the truth. Well, counsel, do you have something to say on this matter? How am I supposed to answer? What can I say about the state of that little compartment under the seat of in the omnibus? It wasn't empty. I really don't know if giving this answer is helping my cause as counsel for the defense. But as far as I remember, at least. When I first examined the compartment, I'm fairly certain there was a number of articles inside it, yes. Are you sure, counsel? Bewitched! What are you saying now, you daft dog? I thought you were on my side here! What game are you playing? Your task is to defend the man in the stand. Why would you say something to compromise his position? As the advocate for the defense in this trial, I confess I'm still not entirely sure where I stand. But it seems to me that I should state what facts I do know as clearly and honestly as possible. Interesting. 'Tis not altogether pleasing, fella. I'm simply telling the truth, Mr. McGilded. Well, don't forget that you're supposed to be representing my best interests here, lad. Now then. A fella's memory is a curious thing, and not altogether reliable. No, the court must consider the facts. That their cubbyhole under the seat is as empty as the devil's heart, so it is. Do you think perhaps it would be in your best interest now to admit that you might have been mistaken? Why? Why do I feel like something's not right here? I should like the jury to weigh in on this matter, I think. That compartment is designed to house equipment. I don't even know what voice I gave this guy. Used to maintain the smooth running of the carriage. The guild's rules said that the omnibuses should be properly and fully equipped at all times. So it certainly wouldn't have been empty on the night in question. Beppo, isn't that irresponsible? That money-lending fleecer is the pick purse, and the pick purse are lying. Ah! I can't believe I was nearly taken in. The stinking rich are always stinkers. Nothing but cowards, a lot of them. What? Oh no. It's a trick! Of course it's a trick! Quite so. I must concur here. Are they all going to vote guilty just right now? And I'll have to do another thing. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Yes, but every time a different truth, it seems. My lord, I humbly exhibit the scales of justice. Clearly, a verdict of not guilty at this time would be wholly inappropriate. Thank you, counsel. But before we proceed any further, there is the matter of the outstanding cross-examination. Counsel for the defense, begin your questioning of the witness, please. Yes, my lord. What just happened? The whole balance of the trial just shifted, almost beyond recognition. The Reaper of the Bailey is at work, it would seem. Okay, gotta try and do a small, feminine Scottish thing again. Let me try to get the voice right. It's been a while. So I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked up the horses, just like always, and I didn't mean to do that. Back. Thank you. So you were already in the omnibus before it even set off on its run? Well, yeah. I mean, what's the point of spending a joey to make a few bob, eh? That's a rum idea, isn't it? I suppose she means there's no point in spending money to make money. It actually makes sense. Counsel, may I remind you that this girl is a petty thief. Kindly refrain from entertaining her tenants. Well, that does clear up the little mystery of the fares and all. 4 paying passengers at five apiece, making the 20 to which the cabman testified. And 1 little scapegrace riding for free. Oh god, again, I forgot the voice. The red conk of a driver always goes for some grub before his last run in sea. God, it's going back to Irish, I think. So that's when I slip into the carriage and get myself in under the seat. Nice and easy, right? But your hiding place is a storage compartment. Full of equipment for the coach, no? Yeah, there's brushes and buckets and whatnot in there, sure. I always chuck all that out and cram it in a corner somewhere. No one ever seems to bother much. And yet, according to the report filed by the police officer who first arrived at the scene, the compartment was full of such paraphernalia. Well, I don't know nothing about that. Like I said, I moved all that stuff out so I could hide under the seat. That's all I can tell you. It seems we've reached the end of that line of inquiry. Continue. But it was a right old waste of time. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. A waste of time? Why is that? Well, most nights I'm on me own in the God permit at least some of the time. I beg your pardon? Did you say God permit? Oh yeah, well, that's what my kind call it. You'd say the omnibus, I suppose. The point is, any normal run, the carriage ain't got no one in it for a while. And that's when you come out of your hiding place and get away? That's right, only that night. Only that night. This cove was sat on me seat from the start. And he didn't budge the whole way, did he? Not 1 inch. I was totally stuck. Do you mean to tell us that you were present in the carriage for the duration? You were under the seat the entire time while events unfolded in the enclosed cabin? In all honesty, I believe that if she curled up tight, then yeah, she could fit in there. Yeah, right, mister? To be sure, to be sure. I was as shocked as anyone. You don't expect to lift the cushion you've been sat on and find a child now, do you? So this Miss Lestrade, I don't know why I find that very difficult to pronounce. Maybe I'm still not pronouncing it correctly. I don't know. Couldn't possibly be the culprit then. I'll tell ya, I can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Didn't mean to skip that. Come on, let me go back. Thank you. And so you couldn't see out into the cabin at all? Not a shot. Most days I push the cushion up with me head and look out the crack. Then I have a butcher's at who's gonna fiddle. I thought you were a pickpocket, not a butcher. I mean, I can have a look. The seat I get under ain't as plush as the other one, see? So most of the time, passengers plant themselves opposite. But for some reason that night, this here Irishman spent the whole journey right over me head. And for that reason, you weren't able to push the cushion up to peek out, I see. Truth is, I ain't too happy in small dark places. Feels too much like being thrown in the clink. But it's the only place to hide in them carriages, so it's Obstin's choice. Why doesn't she just stick to picking people's pockets in the open then? I'd say there's some reason that she's not letting on, judging from her demeanor. So anyways, I got a bit scared, but I had to just stick it out under there. Nothing else for it. Then after a while, I heard this loud bang. Nearly jumped out of me skin, I did. And the scream just came out. When you say a loud bang, do you mean the noise of someone falling to the floor? Could have been, I suppose. I don't remember so well. Now I'm just doing his voice again. Let me just... Point is, it made me jump. I don't think this is the same voice, but I think I like it better. And you let out a scream involuntarily? That's right. And then I felt the cushion over my head get lighter all of a sudden. Presumably when the defendant got up in order to help the victim, yes. Or not. It could equally have been the moment the accused stood in order to stab his victim, could it not? Well, girl, did you see what happened at that crucial moment? Yeah, I saw it. She saw the stabbing? I pushed up the cushion and had a quick butcher's while I had the chance, didn't I? The Irishman was sitting up. The bloke what had fallen on the floor on the seat opposite. That matches Mr. McGilda's account, of course. But then the fella suddenly turns around and looks right at me. I sunk back down again, but it was too late by then. I should have never risked looking. It's because of that this swell found me. He did help me get away, mind. Hold it. And when Mr. McGilda discovered you, he pulled you out of your hiding place? I was scared stiff, I was. He dragged me out and sat me down on the seat and all. Next to the victim, Mr. Mason? Yeah, the bloke had a knife in his guts. He was still bleeding. Then the carriage lurched, and he ended up falling onto me. Ugh, how awful. Wait, oh god. I think I've got a better grasp on Scottish now. Now that I remember someone who actually does. Thank you, Super Eye Patch Wolf. Watching your videos all the time has helped me get it. Actually, no, it hasn't. I shouldn't even say that. I'm very, very sorry. I'm very stupid. I'm just trying to get these voices right. Both my hands got covered in blood. It made me feel sick as a dog. And yet it's still Irish. I think I can't help but feel it's still Irish. Both her hands covered in blood? That must be what the rooftop passenger saw. After that, I believe you talked with Mr. McGill for a while. Is that correct? He asked me for stuff. Some stuff. Wanted to know me name and what I was up to and that. Then I heard some from up above. Someone screamed. Yes, Mr. First on the roof deck one would presume. Well, I didn't want no one seeing me face, so I didn't look up. Then the horses were drawn up, smartish, and this year's Irishman says to me, "Get back under the seat and I'll see that you can get away later." All six members of the jury had decided the defendant was innocent. For one brief shining moment, yes. It's clear that they are still very unsure. If we could just find some conclusive piece of evidence among this new testimony, I'm sure we would clinch the verdict we want. Yes, I think you're right. And I have this, not going to say that word, feeling. Something's bothering me, but I just can't quite put my finger on it. Let's take a look at the evidence. Maybe I forgot something. The button from his vest looked like the buttons on her hat. Leather gloves he was wearing. Larger knife that was found lodged in the victim's abdomen. It was quality and fancy ornamentation. It suggests it must be quite valuable. So there's nothing else other than the debtor's ledger, which we can't really read. Okay, so no new information there. Hmm. Let's check the omnibus again. Oh no! Didn't mean to do that. I hit the wrong button. Okay, I'm saving so that doesn't happen again. Does anyone else do that in Ace Attorney on occasion? Just like accidentally present evidence when you just want to examine it? Okay, so she was hiding under here, supposedly. Then she was sat here. And then he had her hiding back under the seat. Let's take a look through her testimony again. Yes, we've heard this before. Yeah, I've got nothing. I think this is the thing. I think they want me to get her on, like, no, you did get away with something. You did steal something. Wait a minute. Well, no, he has a mustache. Why can I not see the profiles? Because I want to know more about what the victim looked like from, like, the photo and the profiles. But I can't for some reason. Look at the court record. People. No, it has that little thing hanging down too. What I was starting to think was that maybe she, like, somehow disguised herself as him? Somehow, but I don't think that's the case. Okay, I saved. So, this is a hard one. But are we going to accuse her of stealing the stuff from inside? Okay. Are you gonna make me... You know, fuck this. I'm just gonna load this, not even bother. Yeah, I thought what we were gonna do is we were gonna get her on, stealing the stuff from inside that compartment. Let's... Hold on, history? I want to go through this again. So he fell onto her. I'm still just trying to figure out what it is we need to do here. Okay. Did I not notice this the first time?
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Mr. McGilded? Oh, I do apologize. Then it was something, was there something the matter, Counsel? I'm just wondering if Mr. Lestrade's comment made something occur to you, perhaps. You seem to be thinking something to yourself. Oh, no, it was nothing important. I was feeling bad for the poor lass is all. I remember feeling desperate myself as a young lad, shut up in the dark. 'Twas terrifying, so it was. I see, yes. I'm sure we can all sympathize. I'm still scared of the dark now. Aye, and I don't know about yourself, but I find that the darkness seems to make everything you hear seem that much louder as well. Yeah. I suppose it does, maybe. Miss Lestrade! Did you hear something that night? Anything? An unusual noise, perhaps? Nah, not really. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring, and I forgot the voice, whatever. But Jabbers, there's no need to tell the whole world of me foibles, ye scamp! What a pity. If only Miss Lestrade had heard something, it might have given us a vital new clue. Yes. What should we make of that last statement of hers? It's profoundly important. My lord! Oh! I see where he's going now! How did he wind up on the floor, and why is there a bloodstain on the floor? I believe the statement just made by the witness is profoundly important. Profoundly important, but all she said was that she heard nothing. Yes, which is the profoundly important point. I'm almost sure of it. I'm almost sure that I don't understand the inner workings of your Eastern mind, Counsel. Nevertheless. Miss Gina Lestrade, you will supplement your formal testimony by repeating the last statement, please. What? Supplement? What do you want about? Don't give me all your fancy talk. I know what you're trying to do. Well, it won't work on me. And I went back to the Irish voice. I keep going back to the Irish voice when I'm pretty sure she's Scottish. So you were strained to hear what was happening the entire time, since the moment you hid yourself? Not exactly, no. Sorry? Well, there was no one in the cabin to start with. I could just push the cushion up and have a butcher's to see what was what. But then when I saw the swell getting on, I got me head down so you didn't notice me. And Mr. McGill had sat on the seat under which you were hiding, correct? Yeah! Would you Adam and Eve it, eh? What the fuck? I don't even want to think about what that could possibly mean. So then all I could do was listen. I was waiting to jump out of there as soon as I heard him leave, see? But would he? Not likely. Even though we stop here and there, I never heard the door open. So I just had to stay put and listen to I'm driving these pigs market, snoring like an old dog he was. Are there any conclusions we can draw from that, I wonder? It doesn't add up. Miss Lestrade, what you have just told the court is clearly at odds with the fact. Ah! At odds? Are you sure, man? Absolutely. It seems my learned Nipponese friend is not as dull-witted as I feared. So Von Zieks realized it too. Counsel, I must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence, or some complicit party's name at the very least. Yes, my lord. I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court. According to Miss Lestrade, while she was hiding in the omnibus that night, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGillis snoring. But think, Ryunosuke, think! There's something else she should have heard. Show a piece of evidence. Let me take another look at the court record. My thought is that she should have heard the thud, and she said she did. She should have heard... She should have heard him falling to the ground with this pool of blood. That's what I'm thinking. But now it's like, oh, she should have heard a person. Yeah, she should have heard him get on, right? As well as these guys? Very well, my lord. Allow me to elaborate on a particular sound that Miss Lestrade could not have failed to hear on that night in question. Yeah, she said specifically that she was waiting to hear the door open and close. And here's the thing, it did when this guy got on.
Take that.
Thrice fired Mason? Yes, my lord. The sound that Miss Lestrade cannot have failed to hear is that of the victim, Mr. Mason, boarding the omnibus. Order! Order! Explain your reasoning, counsel. Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier that you were the first person on board the omnibus. Is that correct? Yeah, of course I was. I was on while the driver was in the pub, didn't I? And the next person to board the omnibus was Mr. McGilded. That it was. Not a soul was in the cabin when I climbed aboard. At least, not in plain sight. So you were, to all intents and purposes, alone in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus at the time? Did I not just say as much? I wasn't traveling with anyone else, if that's what you mean. Yeah, I saw him get on, remember, through the crack under the seat cushion. He was, on his own for sure. And from what we've heard, the carriage made a number of stops after that on its onward journey. During which time, did you not hear the door opening and closing at all? Nah, I never heard it. It's exactly what I was listening for, weren't it? Waiting for this swell to leave? In which case, when and how did the victim end up in the carriage? Ah! We know that the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Therefore, Miss Lestrade's statement about what she did or did not hear is at odds with the facts. Ah! Yes, this petty thief's statement was clearly flawed. Lord Van Zieks! Yes, he knew all too well that there was an inconsistency in Miss Lestrade's statement. It would seem words of thanks are in order for my learned friend. What are you talking about? You have demonstrated matters impeccably. This witness and her colorful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths, nothing more. He's dead right. How could the victim possibly not have boarded the omnibus? That makes no sense whatsoever. And this girl is a pickpocket. Let's not forget that. Oh dear. Ah! She didn't even say anything! I didn't want to judge the dear little mite just because she has some rather naughty ways. But I must say, I can't abide liars. And neither can I! Mr. Foreman! I didn't want to judge the girl just because she has some less than salubrious ways, but I must say, I cannot abide liars. He basically just repeated the old woman. Ah! Mr. Naruhodo, that's 5 jury members leaning towards guilty. Well, your consideration for others is refreshing, my Nipponese friend. To the considerable troubles you have spared me. Yes, very refreshing. Ah! Gag! What are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you're working for? You useless Eastern Madden? This is carnage. It's perfect. Juror number 2 is the only one left. Mr. Naruhodo, the way this is going, I know, if we can't find some new way to convince everyone of Fisherman Guild's innocence, the judge will rule and we'll have lost. I very much wanted to believe the words of one of London's most respected gentlemen, but those of us in service know we must accept hard truths. Hold it! Yes, the witness's last statement seems to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. However, if we consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, it may shed an entirely new light on this whole case. What are you saying? Counsel? I'm sorry, sir? What do you mean? Counsel, I will not tolerate you attempting to prorogue my adjudication? Explain yourself at once! When the accused boarded the omnibus on the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Subsequently, the carriage door was not heard opening a single time as testified by the witness in the stand. And yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage. If this petty thief's words are to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? I think I have a way. Yes, thank you. We can't tell from up here. What's this? There's a latch. You could get in from the top. There's only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside the carriage. There's another entrance. If the door wasn't open even once, the only explanation is that the victim entered the enclosed cabin some other way. I wondered what new fantasy would I lost the words entirely. Would come up with you you would come up with in your blind panic. But behold, the omnibus is here for all to see. Yeah, and I know where the other entrance is. Only one side of the enclosed cabin is furnished with a door. The other has only windows. Fixed windows, which cannot possibly open. In short, there is no entrance to the cabin other than the door. But there could be. There's one possibility you haven't considered. Oh, really? Yes, one other way inside that isn't the door. Another opening to use of which allowed the victim to appear inside the enclosed cabin. Alright, counsel. The defense will identify the location for the court. Here is the omnibus on which the incident occurred. Where on earth is this entrance by which you propose the victim entered the cabin? It is right here. Just trying to get it centered. There we go.
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It can only have been the skylight. I say, the skylight?
Objection!
Your ludicrous proposal almost has me lost for words. However,
Objection!
the skylight may well be large enough for someone to pass through.
Objection!
So you claim. But do you have a shred of evidence to support your addled-brained theory? Both Mr. McGilded and Miss Lestrade said the same in their testimonies, but they each claimed to have heard a loud thud such as the noise made by someone falling to the floor. Yes, which has already been explained. As the sound of the victim falling from his seat having been assaulted with the dagger, he was killed on top! He was killed on top of the omnibus and then dropped into the inside. Yes, it has, but would a man slipping from the seat onto the floor really have made such a loud noise as the witness described? A noise loud enough to cause Miss Lestrade to let out an involuntary cry, in fact? Good gracious! Perhaps, in fact, that was the moment that the victim had made his entrance into the cabin. No, let me rephrase that. The victim didn't enter the cabin as such. He fell into it!
Objection!
You're now suggesting that the victim fell from the skylight into the cabin. That's simply impossible! How can you be so sure? Because if the victim had fallen inside through the skylight, as you say, the passengers on the roof deck would have seen it happen. And yet, not one person made mention of such events in their testimony. Well, yes, that's true, but... A might humble fella. Make we comment here? Mr. McGilded! To be sure now, the two fellows who were sat on the roof that testified afore said nothing of the victim falling through the skylight. But it seems to me, my lord, that 'tis not so much a case of them not saying, but... Aye. 'Tis a case of them being unable to say. What? I think perhaps the two fellas do be having something of a compelling reason not to mention what happened. Would yous not agree, fine ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Humph? Oh my goodness, surely not. Those two chaps on the roof? You mean the ones who stuck that knife in the man were... Ah! Here they are. It's possible that my theory right now is that he did it to frame Mr. McGilded for murder and have his debts cleared. I don't even remember what this guy's voice is. Just what exactly are you insinuating here, you blitherer? You rotter, he said. You rotter! What are you insinuating? This is a flaming outrage. I have a good mind to give you a blinker in a minute. He'll give you a shiner in a minute, he said, and so I will. Why do you keep repeating what I said? Mr. Fairplay, you're effectively accusing me, a gentleman and well-respected banker, and me, a very angry hatter, suggesting that someone like me could have stabbed that man in the guts. It's a disgrace. It's scandalous. It's... Argh! Last time you did that was when you were caught lying. I protest! I protest in the strongest possible terms! That's right! I protest too! About you, you rotten scoundrel! His disposition changed from just being scared to being angry. Very angry. Like, I mean, like, he almost just like, didn't want to accuse anyone of murder, regardless of the circumstances. Order! 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 This is not the time, witnesses! I will not permit this one invasion of the... This is the wrong voice. This one invasion of the stand. Return to the anteroom at once. But this is beyond reason, my lord. It's outrageous. It's very hurtful, you know. My lord, if I may comment. Go ahead, Lord Van Zeeks. It was the defense that incited this outburst from the witnesses. My learned friend has seen fit to abandon all protocol and accuse the witnesses without proof. Accuse? I never intended to... It seems, young Nipponese, that your command of the English tongue is wanting. You propose to this court that the victim fell through the skylight from the roof deck of the omnibus. That hypothesis cannot possibly stand without the rooftop passengers being aware of the events. You have branded these gentlemen liars. You have intimidated their criminal guilt. In all British courts of law, that is what is termed a baseless accusation. I know I was rash to put this idea forward without any actual evidence, but you can't just dismiss it without a second thought. What are we wasting time for? Get them to testify! I thought there was something fishy about that hat from the moment I laid eyes on the fellow. We have to see this matter through now, one way or another. If there's filth and rubbish in our midst, we must dispose of it at once. They're doing the voice for me. What's happening, Mr. Naruhodo? The spectators in the public gallery they're in a complete frenzy. Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First? My lord? You will take the stand again and make another formal testimony. In reference to the indictment brought by the defense. Yes, my lord. I didn't come here for this. There's no time to think this through. All I can do is keep pushing forward. Refuting the accusation. We were the only two people up on that roof deck. Dead or alive, I can swear to that. If anything had happened where we were sitting, don't you think one or the other of us would have noticed? In any case, neither of us know the first thing about the victim. We had no reason to kill the man. The skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you. We couldn't possibly have opened it. If you're so sure the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof? So they want proof that he fell through the skylight. I must say that I was listening to this testimony. It is somewhat hard to imagine. Now, either witness could have performed any malevolent act on this open rooftop deck, without the other noticing forthwith. Maybe they're both in on it. That's right, you see? We're innocent, I tell you! Although, logically, of course, the argument falls down if the two of you were in collusion with one another. What?! I didn't even mean to give him that high-pitched screech was me. That was not me trying to imitate him. That was just an error on my part. According to the investigations by Scotland Yard, the two witnesses share no common dealings. Ha! Well, I don't trust coppers any more than I trust the stinking rich. Something doesn't feel right here. The trial is going in our favor, really, so why do I feel so uneasy? Counsel for the defense, over to you. Your cross-examination, please. Oh, yes, my lord. Time to press everything. So at no time did the victim, Mr. Mason, climb up to join you on the roof? Absolutely not, Dickon. No question about it, he said. None at all. Oh, but yes, of course. I remember seeing them both. I saw the victim inside the enclosed cabin, talking with this man here. Except, no, you couldn't have. He was in the opposite seat. Dear me, my lord, at the risk of repeating myself, I was boarded the omnibus alone and nodded off inside almost immediately. This is an outright lie. Without doubt, we are engaged in... Let me stop you there, fella, and ask, do you have any evidence at all? At all? Ah! 'Tis all about evidence in the court these days, so it is. You do well to remember that. Ugh, I saw you with my own eyes! This is going so well. Well, it was on the final run of the omnibus past 10 o'clock in the evening. It would certainly have been quite dark, perhaps too dark to see clearly. This is some kind of a lark? Ah, I didn't mean to frickin' whatever. Is this some kind of a joke? Yeah, you do this a lot. Or perhaps one or the other of you fell asleep briefly? Are you fair dinkum, sir? Are you... Yeah... I'd give you the keys to the vault if you could fall asleep in that bitter cold. And if you did manage it, your eyelids would freeze shut and you'd never open them again. That's extreme. It was extreme, I tell you, and we had to put up with it because this man had locked the door. Any true gent would have unlocked it and let me in when I knocked. I'm dreadfully sorry about that, young fella. But you see, I was away with the fairies, and I didn't hear ye at all. That's a lie! I saw you through the glass! You were talking to someone! Now, 'twas a cold night, so it was. People do be seeing things that aren't real in the cold. 'Tis hardly surprising. Seeing things? Seeing things?! I believe we have just reached an impasse here on this particular point. Don't take it personally now, lad. If I'm a suspect in this case, then 'tis only fair that you and the other fiend are too. Open and free competition is what a capitalist society is all about. This isn't a competition I should like to be involved in, really. Neither of us know the first thing about the victim. We had no reason to kill the man.
Hold it!
So, you had never met Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason before?
Oh, Lumaine, no! Not once! Never!
I'm sorry if you hear that banging. That's me dropping my foot on my desk. My ankles got bit to shit by mosquitoes last night. And I'm scratching them with my feet. Yeah, that's your thing. You repeat what this fair play says. And you, Mr. First, you had no prior dealings with the victim either? No, I imagine not.
You see? How many different ways can I put this?
Neither of us have the remotest connection to the gentlemen who were inside the cabin. Well, you have a connection to him. You both were in debt to him.
Excuse me.
Mr. McGilded? Yes, counsel? What can I be doing you for? Did the witness's last statement give you a pause for thought somehow? Not the remotest connection? Is that right now? I wonder.
What are you insinuating now?
Ah, Mr. Fairplay, 'twas been too long, so it has.
Eh?
If I'm not very much mistaken, I believe 'tis fast approaching, is it not? Your repayment date?
I beg your pardon?
You borrowed 20 guineas from me, sir.
At an inconceivable rate of interest. You tricked me. It's extortion.
Well now, is that a touch of begrudgery, is it? The sort of begrudgery that might motivate a fella to pass his crimes off on another?
Arrgh!
And young Mr. First. Me, sir? What do you want with me, sir? You do be making hats for a living now, do you not? That there top is sliding about on your head. Is that one of your own creations, is it? Oh, well, I'm still just an apprentice, you understand. I'm learning to find the perfect fit for whatever fine gent walks through the door. Take off the hat, show us what's inside. Many customers like it, I tell you. They like a distinctive touch. Customers? Such as Thrice-Fired Mason? Ah! They both do have hats that tilt like that. His slumps over and so does his. There was a photographic print of the victim submitted as evidence afore, my lord. Hmm? Oh, this, you mean? I can't help thinking that the poor fella's hat looks distinctly familiar, wouldn't ye say? Oh! That's one of my hats! Aye, that it is. So it would seem the brickmaker was a customer of yours. The sort of customer I'd wager you could have had a wee quarrel with over the distinctiveness of the goods. Oh, no, sir. Absolutely not, sir. Well, there's really nothing more to add. It wouldn't be right to say that the two fellas here, the remotest connection to the victim, you see. I rest my case.
You little weasel! Arrgh!
He's better at this than I am. Gosh, Mr. McGill has certainly been thorough in his research, hasn't he? Please, don't let me interrupt. Don't let me let interruption hold up the proceedings. Hat Hunter awarded.
Hold it!
Were you quite certain about that? That the skylight was shut the entire time?
I'm going to lose my block with you in a minute.
And first, it's gonna repeat that.
Take a look for yourself. Go on. You see? It's shut fast now, just like it was on the night.
You could have just closed it. So it is, of course, a fella the size of Mr. Mason could likely break through it. Still in all. Excuse me.
What?
Just looking at the size of the thing, you understand.
Now you hold on there a minute, sir. The size of the thing means nothing. Not on its own. Let's consider the bigger picture here, shall we?
Stop biting your cane, shall we? I agree with that. I was riding the omnibus on another occasion when, well, I broke wind. Oh. Are you expecting me to sentence you? Oh, no, sir. The point is, the skylight can't be opened. I tried and tried when I was... Oh! She's caught on.
Excuse me.
It can be opened, just not from the inside. Do you have something to say about that, Miss Lestrade?
Miss Lestrade!
It opens. The skylight. That is what we're talking about, right?
Don't shoot that at me, please.
All them skylights open, dead easy. More easily than you can load that weapon? That's a lie, I tell you. Otherwise, when I broke wind, You can't do it from inside, you mug. Oh! Look, a few weeks ago, I was up on the roof deck of one of them drags. And I had a great haul. I mean, I had purses coming out my ears.
Miss Lestrade, this is not the forum to be alluded or whatever that word is, on the subject of your criminal activities.
Well, anyway, I had a bit of a scare. When I lifted the last bloke's purse, he got wise to me. All four of them surrounded me, so I couldn't off the bus and leg it. So what I did was I used the skylight, opened the catch, and jumped right through. What? Yeah, the catch for them skylights is on the top side. That's why you can't open them from the cabin.
The skylight opens from the roof deck?
Yeah, even I could see that.
Bailiff! Climb atop the roof of that omnibus at once and verify the witness's claims!
There we go.
Arrgh!
Oh, my hat! See?
Order! 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 So, it appears that this street girl's statement is quite true. I don't know why I'm using Von Zieg's voice here.
I don't believe it. The skylight opens, and the roof deck... and from the roof deck. Mr. Naruhodo! This could be the clue we've been looking for.
Well, counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination. I don't know why I'm talking like Von Zieg's. Or I should be talking a little more like this.
Perhaps I should investigate for myself. Well, it's said to, Why? Why can I not look directly down it? Why am I not allowed to do that? Fell through here, landed here, blood. I'm gonna... saving. I'm gonna see if I can save myself some time. And I'm gonna present the omnibus. No, wrong button.
Objection.
And I'm wrong. Hold on. Okay, alright, okay. Loading.
Hold it.
Proof?
That's right! I demand to hear it!
We came here to say what we saw, I tell you, not for this.
But you call us both shysters, but brand us as criminals!
You know, your shtick isn't even entertaining anymore. I don't think it was ever entertaining. There's no hot evidence that incriminates yourselves now, is there? I believe we're in much the same position as one another here.
Arrgh!
If I don't crack this case soon, he'll crack his teeth. I know what I have to do to know what to believe here. I think we should try to remember that it's evidence alone that that can truly determine the outcome of a trial. Evidence. No one can argue against decisive evidence, including the members of the jury. So you're saying that what we need now is to find a conclusive piece of evidence? Yes, Mr. Naruhodo, precisely. We have motive. We have method. See, my thought was to present the omnibus, and then they'd be like, what part of the omnibus are you submitting? And I would say this bloodstain on the floor. Maybe it's something else? Let's take another look at the omnibus. Yeah, I mean, this bloodstain is directly below the skylight. Oh, what's that? I didn't see that. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. So I'm sure... Are we seriously... Okay, fine. I guess I'll just have to try looking out through here. We found the proof! We found the proof! It's on the sill! How did I not see this? Yes, it does open very wide, doesn't it? Why not to kick someone like you through? Certainly, Mr. Naruhodo. Why are you thinking about that, Sasato? Have you been fantasizing about that? What is it? Look! Just here! Look at this! That's, without question, it's blood! Why would there be a blood stain there? Surely, it can't be unrelated to the case, can it? There we fucking go! Okay! It has to pan between every witness. And I went too far. Thank you! Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Objection.
There we go. Now we can present it. I thought the bloodstain on the floor would have been enough. On the night in question, the victim was fatally stabbed in the stomach. And immediately afterwards, the victim's body was pushed through the skylight into the cabin below. Those are the facts, and the irrefutable proof remains clearly visible in the omnibus that stands before us today in this very courtroom. What? That's utter humbug! You can't possibly have any evidence! No, you can't! I mean, we didn't do it, I tell you. It's impossible. Irrefutable proof? Here in this courtroom? Counsel? My lord. I believe everyone would appreciate a little clarification here, Where exactly within the omnibus is this evidence to which you allude? You will point out what it is that proves the victim fell from the roof deck through the skylight. Right there. Thank you. I can't just hold B and skip through it. Oh, well, actually I can. It's just very, very slow, and I may as well be pressing the A button. Thank you. Thank you. All I did was hit the wrong button. But Jupiter, is that blood? Arrgh! This bloodstain proves two things. Firstly, when the incident occurred, the skylight of the omnibus was open. What? And secondly, the victim was already bleeding when he fell through the opening. Oh my! And so it follows that Mr. McGilded, who was inside the enclosed cabin himself at the time, cannot possibly be guilty of this crime. No! Order! 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 But the blood could have sprayed up there when the fellow was stabbed inside the cabin. And only found its way on that one particular spot on the skylight? Sure, and that would be very convenient. And let's keep in mind that the skylight catch can only be unfastened from the roof deck. I myself wouldn't have been able to open it now, would I? But, there's no way to know for certain, is there? If the jet really fell through the skylight, I mean. Why don't you have a good look at the floor of the cabin between the two seats, Mr. First? 'Tis all too plain, if you see. There's the aftermath that shows the poor fellow dropped from a fair height right there, so it is. What? No! But it can't be! It's all lies! My fellow jury members, I think we can all agree that this is clear proof of the defendant's innocence, can't we? I believe we can, yes sir. It's clear to me now where the filthy rubbish can be found in this courtroom. So, they thought they could pull the wool over my eyes, did they? I won't tolerate any of the guild's carriages being sullied with blood. I won't tolerate it. Oh, I always knew that nice gentleman who gave us that delightful park couldn't have done such a thing. On 3 then, everyone. 1, 2, and here comes the prosecutor. 3!
Objection!
A chilling performance, Mr. McGilded. Oh, and what would you be referring to there now, Lord Van Zieks? A bloodstain on the frame of the skylight? Such evidence is null and void. What? Why? For one extremely simple reason. That smear of blood never existed.
Objection!
What the fuck are you talking about? What? Yeah, I'm wondering that too.
Objection!
I personally attended Scotland Yard investigation of the omnibus. The officers involved went over the carriage with a fine-tooth comb. Come to think of it, I didn't see it the first time either. No such smear of blood existed in the carriage. At least, not until this trial began. But, are you suggesting, Lord Van Zieks, that this stain of blood was fabricated, my lord? Yes, and while this court has been in session. What?! What a palaver. I must say, I didn't expect such a crude reasoning from a prosecutor of your standing, Lord Van Zieks. But I'm Magnus McGilded, a fellow known all over for the capital for his fine contributions to public life. I don't take kindly to slander, and I'll fight it to the bitter end. Even if it's rolling off the tongue of the Reaper of the Bailey. Mr. McGilded, I realize that this is your first appearance in court as the accused. However, I am well aware of your involvement behind the scenes in many great affairs of dubious nature. You're very adept when it comes to avoiding getting your own hands dirty. And each time it happens that a case you're involved in is investigated, you adapt the facts. Adapt the facts? What does that even mean? When you weld a fortune the size of Mr. McGilded's, however ill-gotten it may be, nothing is impossible. Tampering with evidence, manipulating the scene of a crime, bribing witnesses. I toast your ability to concoct the most convenient stories, sir. Tut tut, Lord Van Zieks, this will not do, to be sure. Will it now, counsel? Oh, no! To think it's fair to say, this does all sound like a rather far-fetched excuse by a desperate man. The blood on the skylight didn't exist, you see. You say? I'm sorry. But if yous will all cast your minds back, is it not true that the omnibus there has been in the courtroom the entire time? How could anyone possibly have put a smear of blood in it without the world and his wife seeing? Isn't that right now, Counsel? There is one way. Not necessarily.
My learned friend. Here's to hearing your opinion on this matter, in your own words.
As you wish. Could someone have tampered with the omnibus during this trial? If you're asking me, I think it could have been possible. As a defense lawyer, it's my job to advocate for the defendant as best I can. But still, I feel as though there's something even more important at stake here. There is no evidence to suggest that the defendant did as my learned friend suggests. However, in terms of having an opportunity to carry out alleged tampering, there is one possibility.
Oh? Good gracious! Explain yourself, Counsel! Yes, there is. It seems my learned Nipponese friend has no intention of running from this deceit. Deceit?
I'm sure everyone still remembers clearly. The recess that we were forced to take. As a result of the smoke grenade fired by the witness currently in the stand, Miss Gina Lestrade. This is a flashback. The courtroom was filled with smoke and everyone was thrown into confusion. All of us were made to leave this chamber. In that brief interval, under the veil of smoke and in all the chaos, it could have been possible to steal inside the omnibus.
Are you wise? What are you trying to pull, ye rotten, feckless gouger?
Feckless gouger?
You're supposed to be defending me. 'Tis a wicked plot. 'Tis a wicked plot to undermine me, so 'tis.
Objection!
Whatever you think this is, it changes nothing. The facts are the same. After this courtroom was evacuated earlier as a result of the smoke grenade, a number of inconsistencies materialized in relation to the omnibus.
There were the materials inside the omnibus that just went missing.
To start with, the storage compartment underneath the rear passenger seat. When the police investigated the omnibus, this compartment was full of the driver's items. I wouldn't say full, but the driver's items were in there. Secondly, we have the smear of blood on the edge of the skylight. As I have said, that was not present at the start of the trial this morning.
Unfortunately, Lord Van Zeeks, no one is able to corroborate your claims. That's true. When the omnibus was first wheeled out, both the storage compartment and the skylight were shut. Accordingly, I'm afraid to say we cannot establish with any certainty if this evidence is the result of tampering or not.
Indeed, my lord. No doubt there was not a single person who saw fit to verify such things.
What do you think? Sorry? About the omnibus. Is there anything else unusual about the omnibus? Not that I've noticed. Let me take another look. Something that seems different. Yeah, I'm starting to see it now. I just kind of assumed that I just didn't notice it the first time around. Or maybe it was there and I forgot. But this color blood is different from this color blood. I have an inkling. My lord? Yes, counsel? There is one further inconsistency. A mark that surely could not have been present at the start of the trial.
What? What in the devil's name are you going to say now? If you dare betray me, you little maggot, you'd better... Silence! Silence, Mr. McGilded! This court awaits the defense's clarification.
This trial keeps swinging one way and then the other. I have no idea what's the truth and what's deception. What am I supposed to believe here? I shall have to ask you to elaborate, counsel. Where exactly is the alleged mark that you claim appeared at some point during the trial? I did it. I hit the wrong button again. Now I have to... You hear this, right? You hear me button mashing? If we consider that the victim fell through the skylight onto the floor of the cabin, you would certainly expect to find signs of blood where he landed. But as far as I recall, this blood stain on the cabin floor was not there when the omnibus was first brought into the courtroom. Good Lord! Yes, I do believe you're correct, counsel.
Well said. Although, as advocate for the defense, one might say that was a very careless slip of the tongue.
I believe that bloodstain on the floor is a decisive piece of evidence. But if the question is whether that evidence is genuine or whether it was unlawfully fabricated by someone, I feel compelled to admit that there's at least a possibility that the evidence is fake. Arrgh! Did he actually do it?
This trial is over.
Mr. McGilded?
I've done everything I possibly can to cooperate with the court, but 'tis all over now.
But you're the defendant!
'Tis over, I tell ye! Memory, recollection, what people think they saw, 'tis all nonsense. Facts are what counts, and the fact is that bloodstain is there, now!
Well...
And over the course of this desperate trial, long and extremely drawn out as it has been, that good-for-nothing Reaper of the Bailey has failed to present any decisive evidence at all. I'm scandalized, so I am. I thought better of Lord Van Zieks. Well, my lord?
I must concur with the defendant. The unaffirmed recollections of an individual cannot stand as evidence. At this moment in time, the particular bloodstain in question is very much in existence, and in the absence of any credible method by which to prove its alleged previous non-existence, I regret to say that it would be improper for this trial to continue. Your lordship can't be serious. Lord Van Zieks, what is your position?
The prosecution, my lord, has no further witnesses or evidence to present.
Very well. In that case, as I believe we have explored every possible avenue in this matter, I shall proceed to my adjudication.
As a formality, I am of course obliged to confirm with the defense first. What formality? As things stand at the moment, it would seem... One second.
I'm gonna need to get up for a little bit and drink something. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Things happened while I was getting a drink. Yeah, I'm starting to think that he actually did do it. Which would mean we've won. Is that really the right outcome here? Is that really alright for the trial to come to an end now? With all these unexplained inconsistencies? Counsel for the defense, your closing statement, please. Yes, my lord. The defense believes the defendant could be guilty. I'm here in this courtroom today to advocate for the defense of my client, Mr. McGilded. However, at this moment in time, I cannot in all good conscience attest fully to the defendant's innocence.
What are you saying, man?
Without any question, there is no conclusive evidence to prove that the defendant is guilty. However, there is also no conclusive evidence to prove that he is innocent.
Good gracious me! Order! Order! This is unprecedented behavior, counsel. A defense lawyer calling the accused innocent into question? Are you of sound mind?
Oh, 'twas a grand decision to appoint you as my lawyer, so it was a grand decision.
What?
I must say, I didn't expect quite such an exciting spectacle at the end there, but still. Here, have this for your troubles. Ah! Your job here is done, fella, and some fine work ye've done, so ye have.
What do you mean?
'Tis just that the right honourable gentleman so succinctly put it afore. The trial can't go on any more. And your closing statement there was, how did he put it now? Nothing more than a formality. He did it.
I really don't know what to make of this. Was the evidence we've seen genuine, or was it fake?
His lordship would be fuming. Any unsightly rubbish should be disposed of promptly, as I said.
The stinking rich are always guilty of something. Mark my words.
You feel terribly ashamed that I feel terribly ashamed that I ever doubted that lovely man who gave us the lovely park.
Now that the proceedings have unfolded in this way, I am compelled to declare a premature end to this trial. Furthermore, the courtroom must accept the defendant's plea.
I thank you kindly, my lord.
I hereby pronounce the verdict of this court. But we still haven't determined if the blood stain in the omnibus is genuine or not.
We don't know if these witnesses are telling the truth or a pack of lies.
We have no idea about the truth. Lord Van Zieks?
My lord?
The case made by the prosecution was flawed, plain and simple. If indeed the omnibus presented as evidence was tampered with, the prosecution is at fault for allowing such a disgraceful perversion of justice to take place.
My sincerest apologies, my lord.
Objection.
But wait! When we were evacuated from the courtroom, Lord Van Zieks ordered the evidence to be secured. I'm afraid the prosecution cannot shun responsibility in this matter. That's so unfair! The culpability of the defendant has not at the present time been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to proffer judgment. What?
Well, Lord Van Zieks, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense.
Do you mean to tell me that this has all been a grand waste of time?
'Tis the law of the land, my good man. If you'd like to pursue this matter further, you can always go ahead and try to change the law.
Magnus McGilded.
Good grief! You've more to say to me, have ye?
Just one thing. A warning. This is far from over. Well, something to be looking forward to then. I hereby pronounce the defendant, Mr. McGilded, not guilty. Fuck. With the courtroom in pandemonium for the second time that day, the judge delivered his verdict, and my first ever trial in Great Britain came to an abrupt end. With the defendant being found not guilty, ostensibly a victory for us. But he actually did it. Fuck. That certainly was a long trial. Ah, yes, it was. Your first ever trial on foreign soil, and your first victory. It was a wonderful performance. My heartfelt congratulations. And to you, Mr. Sato, thank you for your assistance. I suppose we should be happy. The trouble is, we're still completely in the dark about what actually happened. Well, we didn't have enough time. But isn't it wrong? I mean, who was actually responsible for Mr. Mason's death? We don't even know that. The sole aim of the defense is to obtain a verdict that exonerates the defendant. You carried out your duty to perfection. Aye, that you did. Mr. McGilded. Ah, and that girl is with him too. Well, it seems the stories are true. Oh? What stories? About the 6 enormous fireworks they do be letting off when there's a verdict of not guilty. I'm sure yous must have seen them now. Spectacular, wouldn't ye say? Yes, definitely. I'd heard it was a sight to behold, to be sure it was. And I view to thank, I suppose, for having an opportunity to see it. I don't know about that. I'm not sure I really did anything. What on earth are you saying, fella? How did I walk out of there a free man, then? I don't think it was so much thanks to me as down to your planning. You're a straight-talking fella, aren't ye? I must say, ye had me astray in the head there once or twice. But you're young and headstrong. Ah, 'tis water under the bridge. Congratulations, Mr. McGilded, on having your name cleared. But nothing's resolved. There's only one thing that matters to me. Oh? They've all seen that I didn't do the audacious and obstinate deed. 'Tis grand, is it not? I suppose it is. Now the fine fellows of Scotland Yard can take matters in hand and sort out any wee details. They'll see it for what it is. They'll get to the truth. I've absolute faith in them, so I have, after all. I do be providing a good number of their wages with all the taxes I pay. It's not that funny. So then, as we agreed aforehand, 1,000 guineas for your troubles, fella. Oh, no, I couldn't possibly accept that much. Araby wits, you're a humble people, are ye? You from the east? Well, if you insist. But have this, still and all, you deserve a reward.
Mr. Magnus McGilded. Everything is ready, sir. If you'd like to follow me into the courtroom.
Into the courtroom? What's this, officer? 'Tis sooner than I was led to believe.
I hope it's not inconvenient, sir. There were some changes to the schedule.
Well, I must be making tracks now. 'Tis time for the inspection. Sorry? What inspection? They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I'm about to sneeze, 1 second. I'm good now. I asked if I could be present for it myself. They're going to examine it again now? Naturally, I'm under no obligation to take part in any more of this matter now. But as an upstanding member of London society, I do be doing me best to help where I can. 'Tis a gentleman's duty, so it is. So then, fare thee well. 'Twas an absolute pleasure meeting yous. I hope you have a whale of a time while you're studying here in Great Britain. And there he goes, a free man. Oh, I forgot she was here too. Like, you can just leave! You don't have to shoot us, you can just leave! Don't move! Whereas I want to say, get a move on, she really does take forever to load that thing. Miss Lestrade, would you mind putting that thing down? You're a grown-up. Sorry? And I ain't all grown-ups. Ah! There you are! I didn't think you'd be showing up to the second game. Naughty, naughty, running off like that. Is this some kind of picnic? Who's this little girl now? And taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Ha! She had a bigger one! Oh, do you want to play? You won't beat me! Grr. Excuse me, but who are you? Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine. The inventor? Well, normal smoke grenades are so dull, don't you agree? White, white, more white. If you have to be shrouded in smoke, it can at least be a pretty color, I thought to myself. Do we have to be shrouded in smoke, though? At all? I just took my eyes off it for a moment whilst I was changing into a different omnibus, and she pinched it. Luckily, I fitted it with a telegraphic beacon. What? This takes place in the early 1800s, right? She effectively put a fucking GPS chip in it. How the fuck? Anyway, you're coming with me now. Back to my laboratory. What? What for? To apologize, of course, silly, to my technician. What? You mean say sorry? You must say sorry when you've done something wrong. Surely an adult has told you that before. An adult? I don't listen to no adults. Come along then. Follow me. Fine. Have it your way. Oh good, you see. I knew you'd want to do the right thing in the end. I'm fairly sure that what she wants is not to get shot by that massive gun of yours. We'll be leaving now then. Bye-bye. I'm so sorry for all the fuss. She was a lively one. Well, do you think perhaps we ought to be on our way now too? Yes, you're right, but where to? Oh! We haven't had time to find a place to stay. No sooner had we arrived in London than we had to rush here. All our traveling cases are still with the bailiff. I was originally planning to spend today in search of lodgings. But as this late hour in the day, I'm afraid we may be out of luck. It's like, what? 4 at most?
Don't worry though, I have a plan. If worse comes to worse, I've heard of a lovely park where we could spend the night. Please tell me you're not thinking of Magilda Park. I know it may be a little chilly at this time of year, but our youthfulness will see us through. I'm not so sure about that. I think a midwinter London night will freeze a young person solid just as easily as an elderly one. Oh dear, that doesn't sound agreeable. Oh, she's so cute. Now I'm starting to regret turning Mr. Magilda down. That 1,000 guineas would have paid for a lovely warm room or mansion. And so, the trial to determine my worthiness for the study tour was over by the end of our first day in London. However, as we were soon to learn, there were more trying times ahead, just as the Reaper of the Bailey had warned. The case was far from over.
What's going on? Get the fire brigade! Water! Bring water, quick! What the? How did this happen? I don't know, sir. By the time I got here, it was already engulfed.
He set it on fire.
Supposed to be allowed in here, but we started investigating. No. Oh, good God. There's someone in there. This can't be.
Is Magnus in there? End. The Realm of the Reaper. Oh boy! Well, that was something. Well, next time we play Ace Attorney, assuming I can make it in time, and that's a real possibility because, let's just say that things I have to do before I do the stream are starting to take a little bit longer, so I may not actually make it in time for these Tuesday streams, at which point I'll just start them late and end late. And if I have to start like really, really late, I'll just put it off to Wednesday. But assuming everything goes well, the next time we play will be at around 7 o'clock next week, Tuesday. But in between now and then, I will be streaming Mass Effect on Saturday at 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. Alright, I will see you guys then.